If you know anything about XDefiant, one of your questions has probably been which faction is the best to play. In today's video, my goal is to objectively answer that question and give you guys the most overpowered, best faction to play, and spoiler alert, it's not even close. So this isn't in any way going to be an in-depth breakdown of all the factions in XDefiant. But just to quickly overview, there are 5 right now. There are the Cleaners, the Phantoms, the Libertad, the Echelon, and the DeadSec. And from these 5, there is one, in my opinion, that stands out as being better than the rest, and I'm going to explain why. But it's not who everyone is playing. So I'll go ahead and say out front, all the streamers, all of the big YouTube content creators are playing Libertad, the one where you heal constantly and get all this healing stuff and your passive is healing, things like that. That is not the best faction in my opinion. Maybe second best, we're not ranking all of them, but I just want to talk about one faction specifically today, break down this entire faction and why it is the best. So without further ado, the faction I'm talking about is the Phantoms faction. The Future Soldier from Ghost Recon. I never played the game, but I know in this game they are broken for a couple of reasons. We'll start with the ability that is hands down the best in the game and is hands down what makes them so good. And believe it or not, it's their passive ability. So a lot of people, when they're deciding what faction is best, are going to look at the abilities that you activate and the Ultra, which do play a role. They are important. But when you think about it, your Ultra is something that you're getting maybe twice a game. Your activated ability you get like every 15 to 20 seconds. But your passive trait is the ability that is constantly active, and every single time you walk out of the spawn, it's going to be playing a role. So the passive trait is arguably the most important trait that any faction has, and that's why I'm confident that the Phantoms are the best faction, and it's not even close. Because if you didn't know, their faction, their passive, is hardened, which is health increased via tailored gene therapies. So essentially, when you load into the game, when you spawn in as a Phantom, you immediately spawn in with 20 more health than anybody else who's not playing Phantoms. That is insane. Just to give you some perspective, the M4A1 does 17 damage per bullet. Some guns do 20 damage per bullet, but that is at least for almost every single gun, at least one more bullet to be killed. And for a lot of guns, specifically SMGs and higher fire rate, lower damage guns, it's 2 more bullets to be killed. So your passive trait on this character is you get more health than anybody else. So what that means is immediately in any 50-50 gunfight you have, if they aren't running Phantoms, you immediately have an advantage. Immediately. It doesn't matter if they have the health regen, it doesn't regen 20 health as fast as you have this 20 preset extra health. It's going to make you less susceptible to being one shot by snipers, less susceptible to just getting absolutely melted. It's going to give you a higher chance of getting behind cover when you're getting shot in the back, higher chance of turning on people. Your life is going to you're going to survive much more than anyone else strictly because of this passive ability. Like, this passive ability is broken. The other passives, there are some good passive abilities like having complete suppression, not being seen on the minimap, or passive healing that starts instantly. But the ability to have a passive where you are just a leg up on everyone at all times that is going to matter in every single fight is insane. Your lack of your suppression on the minimap doesn't matter if you die in your first 50-50. Your instant healing doesn't matter if you die in your first 50-50. This is the only passive that actively, as you're fighting, increases your chances of winning the 50-50. Now, I will say the Cleaners do have a passive ability that gives them extra burn damage, but it's not extra damage per bullet, it's extra damage over time once you've been shot by them. And it also decreases their weapon range. So in all honesty, to me, that's a terrible passive because it actually makes your guns perform worse. But the passive ability of Phantoms gives you 20 extra health. 20 extra health. That is mind-blowing, especially when we start getting into competitive, when we get into professional gameplay. Spawning in with an extra 20 health is insane. Everyone, if you played old CODs, remember Painkiller. When people go on death streaks, they'd get Painkiller and they'd spawn in with extra health. I think it was more than 20% extra health, but the premise is still the same. You spawn in every single life with a great value Painkiller on the Phantoms characters. It's absolutely insane. And if I had to guess right now, as the open beta is out on June 21st, their passive is going to have to be swapped. Their passive is going to have to be swapped. You may not see it or feel it as much in pubs, but once competitive gameplay comes out, once ranked play comes out, and you're playing people that are just identical to your level and the top level players are playing one another, an extra 20 health is an extra 1 or 2 bullets in theoretical time to kill, which is going to be an extra 4, 5, 6 bullets in practical time to kill because of how many bullets that people are going to miss. You very rarely get killed in the first 7 bullets that somebody shoots, and because the time to kill is already so high, the extra 20 health makes the time to kill that much higher. So the fact that you get plus 20 health is mind-boggling insane, and I think they're going to have to change this passive so that it's something completely different. And if they do that, then that might bring up another debate about which faction is the best. But I've seen several times where I've run this faction, I've been in a gunfight and I've survived with less than 10 health or less than 20 health, and I'm like, yep, if I didn't have this faction on, I would have lost that gunfight. It happens all the time, and that shouldn't exist in a game, but in this one it does. And no one's running this faction because all the hype is centered around the one that heals, or all the hype is centered around the ult of other factions with a 5.7 pistol or fill in the blank. But the passive here is game changing, and every time you spawn in, you're getting value from that passive every single time, every single gunfight. But that's enough for the passive. That's the one trait that makes this character over the top better than everyone else, and it's not even close. But looking at the rest of their abilities, they aren't anything to bat an eye at. They are definitely good abilities. So the activated abilities, the Blitz Shield, I'll admit I haven't used it all, just simply because I don't want to have to put on a shield rather than have my gun out. I don't think you're allowed to have your gun behind the shield. It's just pretty straightforward. The mag barrier is going to be better than the shield because, one, it's not just for you, and two, you're able to shoot from behind it, and it in effect does the same exact thing. It may not last as long or have as much health to the shield, but the mag barrier is much better. And the mag barrier is so good because you can play on both sides of it. You don't just have to stay on one side. It's very versatile. You can put it behind you to keep the enemy from flanking if you don't know where they're spawning. But as the game comes out, as people understand the maps more and more, you know where enemies are spawning, you know where they're coming from, you know the choke points. You're able to throw that down in front of you, and you either, one, deny choke points so they can't push whatsoever in the time that you're there, in the time that the barrier's up, or two, they run out and 100% lose the gunfight because they literally can't hit you and you can hit them. It's just a great ability to have. It's very flexible. It's very powerful. And I'm not saying it's the best activated ability in the game by any means. They did a great job balancing the different activated abilities, but it is definitely a really good one. It's versatile, can be used very well, very easily, and has a lot of outplay potential with it. So that's a great ability to use. And then the Ultra, I can't see what it's called here on this screen, but it's called the Aegis or Aegis. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a spherical plasma where you're basically under a Gibraltar dome from Apex Legends, and you have this insanely overpowered shotgun that kills people if they're inside the bubble, and you're aiming at them 100% of the time. And I will admit, at first, I didn't like this Ultra. It's what turned me off from the Phantoms characters. I would much rather run around with wall hacks and that 5.7 pistol that one shot kills. I'd much rather have, infinite healing for a short period of time. So this ultimate isn't the flashiest, and it's not the best, but if you're playing hardpoint or you're playing escort and you get to that last 10% and you just can't get through, this ultimate makes it impossible for you to be stopped. I mean, if you just have it on, make sure nobody can come from behind you, and they can't shoot you because the shield is up. And to my understanding, the shield is indestructible. And if they run inside to try and kill you, you just one tap them with a shotgun, the plasma shotgun, and they instantly die. So though it's not the flashiest, this ultra has some of the most utility, most usefulness, is going to get the most value in the game, especially once ranked play comes out and you're really caring a lot about the objective. So all of that combined, the great utility from the ultimate, the great utility and versatility and outplay potential from the mag barrier, and then the phenomenal, out of this world, by far and away the best ability period in the game, the passive that you always have, that I think they're going to have to change at some point. Maybe they won't, but I think it's going to have to be changed to something else. Makes the Phantoms the best faction to use in this game, and it's not even close. And I will release more videos in the future talking about all of the other factions in detail, probably ranking all their passive, all their activated, all their ultras. But for now, I just wanted to put this out the day that the open beta released so that you can run the best faction without hesitation, without having to wonder which one's the best, it being the Phantoms. You're gonna survive with less than 20 HP all the time, and you're gonna say, yep, I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for being this faction. And you get so much value just from spawning in. So that's gonna do it for me in this video. I hope you've enjoyed the discussion. I hope you've enjoyed the gameplay in the background. If you want to see more XDefiant content during the open beta, pre-release and post-release, definitely leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you want to see, because I'm going to be grinding it out non-stop over the next few days. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe again, and I'm out. Peace.